The newsroom. It's the biggest bloodbath since the overthrow back in February of Hosni Mubarak. Shots fired, armored vehicles running over Coptic Christian demonstrators Sunday as they marched through central Cairo to protest the partial destruction of a church in Aswan province. At least 24 killed. At funerals this Monday, mourners from the Arab world's largest Christian community demanded answers, and also for the head of Egypt's caretaker junta to speak. The ruling military council has promised a full inquiry into violence that involved demonstrators, soldiers, and also Muslim radicals that attacked marchers who included both Christians and Muslim pro-democracy activists. We're going to try to piece together what happened Sunday evening and ask, is change in Egypt really leaving the door open for sectarian strife? We're going to get the position of the Muslim Brotherhood on those radical Salafists and the reaction of Coptic Christians to the way the military is handling it all. Today, in the France 24 debate, Egypt, why the violence? And joining us is Shahira Rigaud, member of Solidarity Copts France. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for asking me to come.
Also with us from Cairo, Dina Zakaria of the Muslim Brotherhood, co-founder of the Freedom and Justice Party. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
From Port Said, Ihab Youssef of risk assessment group Risk Free Egypt. Thank you. And
thank you for giving me the honor.
From Washington, Walid Fares of National Defense University. Always a pleasure to have you, sir. Your feedback, by the way, appreciated on the France 24 Debate Facebook page and also on Twitter, where our handle is @FrancoisF24. Before we go to our panel, let's go to Cairo. And Hani Bushra, a Coptic Christian, injured in the demonstrations. Hani, thank you for being with us. Can you tell us exactly what happened to you? We understand you were injured.
Yes, I was returning at some point from being in downtown Cairo in the Maspero area. I was walking back and I was tweeting something on my phone, and at that point somebody approached me and asked me for my name, which is very nondescript and doesn't say if it's a Muslim or a Christian name. And then when he couldn't find out my religion, he looked at my wrists to see if I was a Christian, if I had a Christian tattoo. And when he couldn't find one, he asked for my complete name, and then he asked for my religion. And once he found out I was a Christian, he started screaming that I've got a Christian and he's armed. And so a mob gathered around me and they started hitting me. I ran towards the police officer, and I was running away. My cross, which was around my neck, my golden cross, was torn away from me. And at the same time, my phone was stolen from me, and I was being hit by at least 30 or 40 people.
And this was at, the tail end of the demonstrations. Can you describe to us what you saw previous to that?
Well, I showed up pretty late to the demonstration. So I showed up around 8 o'clock. And at that time, Tahrir Square, there was a group of Christians and Muslims who were chanting Christians and Muslims on one hand. But there was another group that was coming from Maspero who were throwing rocks, and they were throwing rocks in the presence of army officers or army soldiers. And so the other group was screaming Allahu Akbar, which means God is great, at the same time as they were throwing rocks at us. And so there was this confrontation for a while, and then our group prevailed, and so we marched towards Maspero with a person with a long beard and white dress, a Salafi, being carried on the shoulders of people, and a Christian being carried on the shoulders of people, and they were both chanting that Christians and Muslims are one. And once we arrived at the police cordon that was in Maspero area, things got escalated after that, because there was people there that the police was, I guess, using or somehow inciting against the protesters.
And the police officer that you went to when you were attacked, how did he react?
I am a citizen. I have a U.S. citizenship, and so I took out my passport, my U.S. passport, and I said, I'm charging you with protecting me. I was a Christian. I was attacked in the middle of the street because I was a Christian. And I think the fact that I was a dual citizen really made this issue serious. I told him I'm an attorney in the United States, and if this continues, matters will be escalated in my country. And so at that point, I think that was the the point in which he took serious consideration to protecting me.
One final question for you, Hani Bushra. Who do you blame for Sunday's violence?
The immediate causes are probably the Egyptian TV and what the false information that disseminated and the instigated people. The long-term cause is just societal issues with religion and the fact that we in Egypt have a hard time respecting others and other opinions.
All right, Hani Bushra, I want to thank you. I hope you recover swiftly from those injuries. Thank you for joining us here in the France 24 debate. Let's get a first reaction also from Cairo, from Dina Zakaria. Your thoughts on what you just heard there?
Sorry, can you repeat the question again?
Your thoughts on what Hani Bushra said on the way he was attacked, and also on his analysis of the fact that people just aren't very tolerant yet.
Let me tell you at first that we should express our deepest condolences to Egyptians, Muslims, and Copts who were really facing these bloody clashes on Sunday. We are against violence, and it was a real grief to see such scenes, especially that as soon as we get nearer to the election, we find that such problems come to surface to make us just to feel that we should concentrate on such problems and not to concentrate on how to overcome this transitional period, which we believe that is a crucial period. So what Hani Bushra is mentioned, it's not a problem that only happened on Sunday. It's happening since the revolution took place. But I think that all of us should unite right now to overcome this crucial period.
All right, who to blame for Sunday's violence is a question we also put on the France 24 debate Facebook page. Let me just show you a couple of the responses. Nizar from Montreal says, who to blame? Fanatics on both sides. While Dharma writes, churches are being destroyed, and as usual, the new government, like the old one, wants to stop the Christians from complaining about it. Shahira Rigo, when I look at the reactions inside the Coptic community that we've seen on social networking sites, a lot of their anger directed not at Muslim extremists or at Salafists, but at the government.
Yes, I think I totally agree, because since this military council has taken power, things have been deteriorating in an awful way for the Copts. Several churches have been attacked, and not in one area, in several areas. This is probably the sixth case so far. So I cannot really blame ordinary Muslims or even Salafists, but the people in power.
And the people in power, did they not intervene? Why didn't they intervene to stop those attacks on churches, including that one in Aswan that sparked this march?
This is the question we must all ask ourselves. Why don't they ever intervene? I'm not even mentioning in favor of the Copts, but in an objective way. So this underlines the question, what type of relationship do they have with the Salafists and other extremists?
Ihab Youssef, let me put that question to you. Why hasn't the government done more to protect a Coptic community which represents, nearly 10% of Egypt's population?
Yeah, I totally agree with what Mrs. Dina just said, that the government need to spend more effort into settling up the situation, especially that we have a lot of things to do after the revolution. One of the major things is the relation between the Muslims and the Copts there, which is very vital for the Egyptian community to continue, or for the Egyptian country to continue and to do any progress. But at the same time, I don't want to be perceived as I'm trying to defend what the government is doing. At the same time, that we have a lot of actions that happening everywhere, and as was just mentioned, this is the fourth or the fifth time that happened in a big escalation between the Muslims and the Christians. What we need to do is to be more cautious about how things should handle. What I care about at that moment and to make sure that the things will progress in the right direction is to make sure that the security is established and the law is enforced in all the people living in Egypt, away from the religion or from where they stand in the hierarchy in the country. So what we need to do is to establish proper security measures and to establish law enforcement in the right way, and to enforce law all over the people and all over the Egyptian society. So whoever is mistaken should be judged fairly in a fair trial. What happened yesterday, one of the things that happened is that an escalation happened between the Muslims and the Christians, and a shotgun happened. Part of the people died were Muslims and the others are Christians. So it's not we can't just perceive it as it is a clash between Muslims and Christians. There is something fishy happening there, and there is no enforcement in the right direction, and security measures, as I've just said, is not set properly. What we need to do is security, and the other thing is transparency. The government took a long time yesterday till they start announcing what's really happening to the people, and to give numbers so people can understand what's really happening there. Up to now, nothing is clear who initiated this and why this happened, and I believe that it's not just because the part of the church have been damaged in Aswan, though I respect that this is a big cost to do anything, but at the same time I know that Egyptians are very keen about in this period of time, because we know that there are a lot of problems. So I think that even Copts didn't go there just to say that they have a problem in the Aswan church, which has been partially damaged, but there is another thing that needs to be said. So this needs to be understood properly from the government and need to be addressed. We have to have the rights in all the measures, because I know that Copts have been suffering a long time for they feel discrimination, and they feel that they're not taking their political roles as it should be. So this is what the government really need to start tackling, and quickly.
All right, and we see that in Cairo this Monday, everyone seems to have an opinion about who to blame for the violence. Take a listen.
This is a normal reaction from our Christian brothers, because the government ignored their demands about the church in Aswan.
With regards to what happened yesterday, there were two mistakes. The first mistake is that the Christians should have expected they would be attacked and that they would be blamed themselves. And this is something that the wise people should have understood and told them about. Number two, what happened, happened. But when it did, the army is supposed to protect the people and not attack them.
I am a Muslim, and we have great Christian people, but what happened last night was provoked by an invisible foreign hand.
Walid Fares, can I get your reaction to what those citizens in Cairo are saying?
Well, you have 2 points, Francois, at least. One is how the international media and other media in the region are framing the issue by using the term clashes. I mean, it started with AP and all the way to the other agencies. When we hear clashes, we imagine either two mobs equally, weaponized with sticks, fighting against each other, or two armies or two militias. What we saw on the screen was not that. We saw a demonstration of Copts, tens of thousands. Yes, they were throwing rocks, but we saw actually the Egyptian armed forces moving against them, and dozens were killed. And from the lateral streets, there were also either shots or knives being used against the demonstrators, who indeed burned other cars. I think this has to be designated as crackdown on a demonstration rather than clashes. Number two, the incident did not begin only this time because of that church. What the Copts have been saying in their NGOs worldwide is that this is an explosion of feelings and anger after many incidents. And many of your guests have recognized that these incidents have been taking place since the beginning of the year, since the beginning of the revolution, and even before that. So what we have right now is frustration from a community that they have been attacked by those extremist elements, you want to call them Salafists or jihadists, and the government is not doing anything about it. And when they demonstrated, that is the Copts, for the governments to do something about it, they launched the army against them. So here we have a two-pronged issue. One is that there are extremists acting against a community despite the revolution, and two, the armed forces of the government, which was supposed to be emanating from the revolution, has launched its forces against the demonstration, something that has not even happened in Tahrir Square during the peak of the revolt. That's why I consider it's very serious.
Let me just ask at this point, Dina Zakaria, to weigh in. Do you agree with Walid Fares? Words matter. That what we're talking about, what happened on Sunday, is a crackdown, is not clashes.
Sorry?
Dina Zakaria, do you agree with Walid Fares that what had happened Sunday was not clashes between two sectarian communities, but a crackdown?
Let me tell you my point of view of what was going on. I think it was just a peaceful protest again, which we're calling for legal demands. But really, what really took place that thugs took place in these protests to make a problem emerge, because as it's really now very clear that different organized groups wants things always to be wants problems always to be on surface. Doesn't want peace period in this transitional period. They didn't want us to achieve elections. So every time we started to have timetable or started to achieve our demands to be fulfilled, such problems took place.
Who are these thugs?
They are related to, let's say, first, people are from. They are related to businessmen who were coordinating with the last regime, especially with Mubarak's regime and his followers. Internally and externally, there are a lot of problems and there are a lot of challenges that they want this revolution not to succeed. So they are using different thugs to make problems, to make us not move to the important movement of achieving elections to have a real elected civil state.
Very briefly, just before we go to the break, Ihab Youssef, we're almost out of time. Do you agree with that analysis?
It's slightly yes, but not totally, because we can't hang on everything upon the last regime and suspicious hands that's playing everywhere. Because if we hang it on this, we're not going to be able to reach somewhere. What we need to do is to set a proper strategic plan to handle the security measures and to make sure that everyone in the country is trying to get what he needs. I think that cops now cannot be satisfied, and other segments in the society cannot be satisfied in one day, but at least they need to feel that they are listened, their notes are
being
taken.
listened to. Yeah. When we come back, we'll pick up on this point. Stay with us. The France 24 debate continues.